Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 16th May 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Haribol TRSV Nectar NECTAR Nectar. In this particular vlog and all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of what we have been doing in my past few videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of my other videos. Now, today, let us continue with the subject of one in a trillion or million in your lifetime, or how to become a one in a million in our own life for ourselves. In that process, we have been talking about a few case histories. Today we shall talk about another case history which will authenticate this particular saying that one should be his or her friend and not his or her enemy, because this pays in the long run negatively or positively. Today's protagonist of the case history is a very beautiful young girl called Josephine. This story is about France of the middle 18th century and beginning of 19th century. This girl, who was a French noblewoman, was born in one of the colonies of France, which is in the Bahamas or West Indies or some place like that. It is called French Guiana. Because this white French girl was born in the colonies of France, she belonged to a community called Creole. Creole was her community and her ancestry belonged to that particular religion. This girl was not only quite beautiful, but God had also blessed her with a Midas touch as a kingmaker woman. That is, whoever came into her life had the likelihood of hitting it big in her life. This was specifically told to this girl when she was around 14 or 15 by a soothsayer in those French Guiana areas. This lady predicted that this girl will marry an emperor or her own husband will become an emperor. Before proceeding further, let me remind you of a couple of proverbs which may come in handy in future. First, it is but a step from the sublime to the ridiculous. Second, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Third, men and women are honest for want of opportunity. All these three things will come in handy when we talk about this girl. Well, she was born in a noble family but not a royal family. When she grew up into a beautiful teenager, she married an upcoming soldier called Beauharnais. Josephine and Beauharnais came to France, and here this guy joined the French army as a soldier. At that time, the general of the French army was a young man called Napoleon Bonaparte. This Beauharnais and his wife Josephine gave birth to a son and a daughter. This Beauharnais was unfortunately killed in one of the battles either in Europe or in Egypt. At that time, Josephine was left high and dry with one son and one daughter. This lady was by nature a nymphomaniac, that is, a very promiscuous young woman. This nobody knew her except those in her close circle. However, this woman one day went to Napoleon's court to ask for her dead husband's soul to be kept as a relic in their family treasure. It was a ceremony or a practice where dead people's souls were returned to the family. At that time, Napoleon, who was 6 years junior to Josephine, saw her, and nobody knows how he got besotted with her, but probably rumor that her husband will become an emperor reached him. So this man took this lady to an adjacent room and proposed to her. Josephine, who was a widow and who was 6 years senior to Napoleon, with two kids of her own from her first husband, accepted the proposal immediately. Napoleon married Josephine. The moment he did this, his star began rising very fast. From first counsel, this man one day really and virtually, as told by the soothsayer, became the first Republican Emperor of France. When he became an emperor, immediately and naturally, Josephine became the Empress of France, a French beautiful girl born in a noble family in Bahamas or French Guyana, had now become the Empress of France. The soothsayer had proved herself right. So far, so good, but there are many a slip between the cup and the lip. Josephine's nymphomaniac promiscuity took the better of her, much to the embarrassment, anger, and frustration of her emperor husband Napoleon Bonaparte. This woman went around sleeping even with the soldiers of Napoleon's army, including the bodyguards of the tents and the bouncers and other people of that locality. Napoleon could do nothing but rub his hands in frustration. Here he was the Emperor of France, and she was the Empress of France, but she was sleeping with the very soldiers, generals, marshals, etc., who were totally obedient to Napoleon. This was quite a come down, but Napoleon could do nothing. As I had mentioned earlier, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Josephine made the best use of her own power and absolute power in lust and sex with all and sundry. It is also said that men and women are honest for want of opportunity. Josephine had both the power and the opportunity, and she made the best use of this opportunity. She indulged in her favorite pastime to such an extent that Napoleon Bonaparte was totally frustrated. Not only that, he could not get an offspring of his own from this very Josephine. And then the sublime began coming to the ridiculous. One day, Napoleon found a more royal girl who he married again, and in that process divorced Josephine. Now, the second wife had become the Empress of France, whereas Josephine was left high and dry. This was all because of her own short sightedness and her own doing. As I had mentioned earlier, one in a million comes to you as a friend. Josephine's own good nature had come as her friend along with its luck once when she was young. But then she ignored this good luck and this Midas touch to such an extent that one day it left her and her enemy took over her own psyche. This resulted in her having a very ugly and shabby divorce with Napoleon Bonaparte. Now Josephine was no more the Empress of France. Totally broke and in shambles, she died around 6 years before Napoleon Bonaparte himself died in exile in St. Helena. The story about one in a million holds true in this case also. If only Josephine had respected, recognized, and obeyed the friend in her for herself, he could probably have lived long and died as an empress. But instead, she chose to be her own enemy, and hence all the 99 lakhs 99,999 negative lust qualities, vices, etc. surrounded her in such a way that she could not come out of that swamp all her life. We must take a leaf from the life story of Josephine and remember that when our own friend, that is ourselves, the friend within ourselves, smiles at us, we must recognize him or her and be loyal to this friend, philosopher, and guide. This applies to other genuine friends also. We should never take them for granted because this world and this graveyard is full of indispensable men or women who thought that they were invincible and who fell down unabashedly because of their own doing. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular story. Please give me your own expert opinions, thoughts, and ideas and views so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.